Hey there. Thanks for volunteering to read for our Arizona Farm Bureau Ag in the Classrooms Ag Literacy Dr. Seuss event. We have lots of classrooms that are signed up and very excited to have you guys visit and read them their story. So with that being said, your teachers should have all of your materials there, packets full for each classroom that you're going to be visiting. They should also have the schedule for the day and time and classrooms that you are going to be visiting. And you also should have copies of the scripts. That is really going to help you with the presentation. So you want to make sure you have all of those presentations available to you at this time. Just a reminder before we get into the presentation, you are going to be visiting elementary school classrooms, so please dress accordingly. We do encourage that you wear jeans or pants. Remember, you will be standing up, sitting down on the floor with little kids. And we also ask that you do wear a shirt that has your high school FFA chapter name or high school name on it, just that you're representing your chapter and where you come from. So this first presentation we're going to be talking about are for those of you who are going to be presenting to our first grade classrooms. You're going to be reading a book called Oh Say Can You Seed? You'll find them there in your packet. And through this story, the kids are going to be learning all about the three different parts of the seed. So after you read the story, you are actually going to have the students dissect the seeds as part of the classroom activity while you are there. So that's sort of an overview. As you make your way into the classroom, you guys are probably going to be working in groups of 2 or 3. So you want to make sure that you have your roles clearly identified prior to going into the classroom to give the presentation. You want to look like you've practiced it before and this isn't the first time that you've gotten together and read the book. So with that being said, the first thing that you want to do is pick somebody who's going to do the introduction for your group to the classroom that you're presenting in. As you find your way into the classroom, you'll want to make sure that the students are seated at a story carpet. Usually there's a big person chair, a teacher chair, that you'll be able to sit on when you're reading the story as the kids sit on the carpet in front of you. So you want to make sure, again, you have somebody who introduces your group. Just say, hi, my name is Miss Katie, and I'm here today with my friends so-and-so and so-and-so, and we are from this high school. Who are you? What are you doing? Then what I always kind of do is start it with a question and say, who can tell me what very important event is happening this week? Of course, you want them to say Dr. Seuss's birthday, which falls March 2nd. So that opening is going to vary depending if you're giving your presentations the last week of February or the first week of March. So keep that in mind when you're doing these presentations. So of course, they're going to say Dr. Seuss's birthday. And you say, that's right, it's Dr. Seuss's birthday. How many of you in here have read a Dr. Seuss book before? They're going to raise their hand. And what I would do right now is encourage you guys to allow each of the students to raise their hand and identify their favorite Dr. to them. That reinforces to them that you are listening to what they have to say. So I let each student identify their favorite Dr. Seuss book. You're going to find that as you move through, most of them have the same book as their favorite book, and that's okay. So let them name all their different books, and then you want to say, well, today I'm going to talk to you guys about my favorite Dr. Seuss book. And my favorite Dr. Seuss book is called Oh Say Can You Seed? Has anybody read this story before? Chances are they're going to say no, this isn't one of the common everyday Dr. Seuss stories. So with that, you're going to say, well, this story teaches us all about seeds. So today we're going to read through this story, and it's very important that you listen carefully to the story because the information that we learn in this story, we are going to use to do a really fun activity when we're all done. So you guys ready? All right, well, to make sure you're listening carefully, you want to make sure you're sitting crisscross applesauce on your pockets so everyone can see. Here we go. Now, of course, when you're reading a story, the important thing that you want to do, especially when working with elementary school kids, is make sure that they can see the pictures. Because if they can't see the pictures, they're going to talk over everything that you have to say. So if you are the person in your group who is in charge of reading the book, please make sure you read the book several times before you go into the classroom for this presentation. Also, make sure that if you are the person who's reading the story, that you can read in different, we'll say, voices for the different characters. Make sure you're enthusiastic. Make sure it seems like you're excited to be there reading the story and not, oh my gosh, I have to read in front of all these first graders. So, I'm the Cat in the Hat, and I think that you need to come take a look at this thing called a seed. From the giant gum tree to this very small weed, every flowering plant started out as a seed. Plants are so useful to me and to you. Can you think of the ways? I will name you a few. And after you finish reading the story, you probably want to do a little arc to make sure all the students are able to see the picture before you, in fact, turn the page. Now, I'm not going to read all the pages to you, but I do want to highlight a couple of important pages that you're going to come across. And the first one is this, and it's page 14 and 15. And this identifies the 3 parts of the seed that you guys are going to be talking about with the students when you do the activity at the completion of the book. So what I always do at this page is I pick out the different charts. Part 1 is the first that I think you should know. It's the part that's the baby. It's called embryo. Can you guys say embryo? Embryo, that's right. Now you guys see this side right here? You see the pink part of this seed right here? That is the embryo. Can you guys say embryo again? Very good. To sprout it needs food like you and I do, which brings us to seed part numero 2. It's called cotyledon. Say, isn't that fun? This bean seed has 2, but some others have 1. Can you guys say cotyledon? They're going to try it and it's going to be pretty funny, but you definitely want to make sure that they're trying it out. Now, I want you guys to look in this orange chart here. Do you see the part of the seed that's really big and pink? The pink part? That is our cotyledon. Can you guys say cotyledon again? Very good. Last comes the third part that you need to know. It's the coat, which protects our cute bean embryo. See, that's the outside. Just like maybe you guys wear a coat or a jacket to school to protect you and keep you warm. Our seeds also have coats. At this point, you would just continue to read through the story with the kids. Now, at the end of the story, I always ask them, now, who likes this story? Of course, they all do. You say, well, that's good, because I brought a copy of this story to leave in your classroom library. That way, if you want to remember something that we talked about today, or you want to read this story again, you can go to your classroom library and it'll be right there for you. Does that sound good? Of course, they're all very excited. Now, you guys were great listeners during our story, but now I want to see what it is you remember. Who can tell me how many parts of the seed there are? Of course, they're all probably going to yell 3, and that's exactly what you want. Very good. There are 3 different parts of the seed. Now, can anybody tell me what the 3 parts of the seed are? Usually you'll get a couple of blank stares, and that's when I go ahead and just open it back up to page 14 and 15. Does anybody remember what this little part of the seed was called? As you can see in the story, you see the name right there. They see it also. So usually you will have one of the kids who's a good reader. He or she will yell out embryo. The hardest one, of course, is going to be that cotyledon. They certainly try and say it, and it is really funny, all the words that they come up with. But you will probably have to pronounce it for them again. And then, of course, the coat is easy, and just remind them it's the part that protects them. So now that you guys know the 3 different parts of the seed, when I say the magic word, our magic word is go, you guys are going to stand up nicely and quietly, and you're going to walk back to your seats. Once everybody's seated nicely and quietly at their seats, my friends and I are going to come around and we're going to give each of you a paper towel. Now you guys will probably notice this is just a paper towel that I've ripped in half. You'll want to do this prior to going into your classroom. We did not supply these for you. So we're going to go around and hand each of you a paper towel. Once everybody has a paper towel, we are going to come around and we are going to give each of you your very own seed. Now, it's very important that when you get this seed, you do not touch it. Are you going to touch the seed? No. Okay, very good. So at this point, then you will walk around and you will place one seed on each of the students' paper towels. You probably noticed that I have a seed here floating in water. In your envelopes, there are a sandwich bag, Ziploc bag full of seeds. You need to make sure that you soak those in water, not hot water, just water, at least 8 hours prior to your presentation. That's going to make those seeds swell, and it's going to make it easier for those students to dissect. So at this point, yes, your hands are going to get a little bit dirty. It's all right. Give each student a bean. Go ahead and set it on their paper towel. Now, once every student has a bean on their paper towel, you're going to go ahead and begin with the dissection activity. And perhaps a different member of your group is going to be in charge of this than the person who read. So at this point, you say, okay, I want everybody to pick up your bean like this. You show them just like this. Now, we learned in our story that the outside of our seed is what protects our seed. Does anybody remember what it was called? That's right, it's the coat. So what we have to do right now is we have to take the coat off of our seed. To do that, I want you to hold your seed like this and just rub your fingers together. Because as you rub your fingers together, that seed coat is going to go ahead and slip right off. All right, so you have your seed coat here, and then we have our actual bean or our seed. So you're just going to have the students set that seed coat onto their paper towel. And then you're going to say, now, what were those two big parts of the seed called that we learned in the story? Of course, that's our cotyledon. And then you're going to talk about our little embryo. Now, some of the students, when they open up their seeds, they're going to find that their embryo is still attached. It's going to look just like a little hook, like it did in the story. Other individuals are going to find that their embryo actually got stuck in their seed coat when they took it off. So you just have to have them look in the seed coat. It looks like a little gnarly tooth, kind of gross, but that's the best way to explain it to them. Have the student either find it still connected to their cotyledon or have them find it in their seed coat. Make sure every student finds their embryo before you move on to the next step. Now, in some instances, there are going to be seeds where there's not going to be any embryos. Imagine what's going to happen when you have 30 first graders, 29 of which found the embryo. What's that one student going to be doing? They're going to be crying. So what you want to do is you just walk up nonchalantly to their paper towel. Make sure that it's still not attached to their cotyledon. Make sure it's not still in their seed coat. A lot of times you're going to find it laying on their paper towel. They just don't recognize it as the embryo. But if all else fails and they happen to have a seed that did not begin to sprout, does not have an embryo, you're going to take that little embryo from your seed that was in your hand, and you're going to nonchalantly mix it in with their things while you're searching through their seed coat. And oh, there it is. Then you no longer have an embryo. If too many kids don't have an embryo, you've already given yours away. The best thing to do when you pick up their little cotyledon is just go ahead and snap a little part off of it. Look at how easy I made a little snaggle tooth. Okay, so keep that in mind. You want to make sure that every student has an embryo. All right. Now, once everything is all dissected and laying on their paper towel, I usually do a little quiz with them and just have them work together and say, all right, what I want everybody to do now is I want you to look on your paper towel and I want you to find your seed coat for me. And you take your seed coat, hold up your seed coat. They're going to hold it up and show you as well, okay? They're pretty much going to copy whatever it is that you hold up, so make sure you are holding up the correct part. Very good. Look at all of those seed coats. Now, I'd like for everybody to find and show me your cotyledons. And they're going to look up at you to see that you're holding two things, so they're going to go ahead then and find their cotyledons. Very good. And then, of course, I want you to find those little baby embryos, and they'll hold up all those little embryos. Okay. Now, you guys did such a good job. I just have one more thing for you to do. I want you to put all those seed pieces into the middle of your paper towel. And I want you to take that paper towel and I want you to fold it up into a little square. And they're all going to be very excited and they're going to fold this up. And you're going to say, now that you have it all folded up, when I call on your table, I want you to take that little pouch and I want you to throw it in the garbage can. Now, they're probably going to panic because they want to keep their seeds. But it is important to recognize that these are lima beans. These lima beans have not been cooked. So if the students eat these or they take it home and a baby sister does or a pet does, there is the possibility that they could get sick. So we want to make sure that all of these different parts go into the garbage can. At this point, you just thank them for having you into their classroom and tell them that you hope to see them again soon. Make sure you do give the teacher that book for the classroom library. All right. So hopefully that was a good enough explanation for Oh Say Can You Seed? If not, pick up your phone, give me a call.